It's Han. No, it's not. So first things first, to get Mesa, you have to fight Mutualist Alad V. This is a special boss fight on Ares that you can only access if you have a Mutualist Alad V Assassinate key, which takes 3 Mutualist Alad V nav coordinates to build. I made a full farming video for these, so if you want to watch it, you can click the annotation that's on the screen right now, which will take you to that video. But if you want the TLDR version, it's a special nav coordinate that either comes as a reward from some of the Orokin Direct missions, or as a reward from infested invasions. Mesa is definitely not the tankiest frame in the game. She has 125 health, which goes up to 375 at rank 30, 75 shields, which go up to 225 at rank 30, only 65 armor, 100 power, which goes up to 150 at rank 30, above average sprint speed of 1.1, and she has 3 polarities, 2 dashes and a V in the aura slot. Now, even though Mesa is a gunslinger, her abilities are a little bit more creative than you perhaps may expect. And they range from storing damage and unleashing it with a very powerful shot, increasing her and her party members' damage while jamming the weapons of nearby enemies, deflecting bullets, or pulling out her regulators and going full-on gunslinger mode. All the augments for her abilities can be obtained by either reaching the rank of General under the Steel Meridian or the rank of Exalted under the Red Veil, and they will cost you 25,000 standing. Now, before I start talking about her abilities more in depth, I want to answer a question that I see on pretty much every Warframe review, and that question is, how is your energy regenerating so fast? I am running a Zanurek Focus School, which has a passive that allows you to regenerate energy at a high rate. And with some of the abilities, especially with the more power-hungry ones, I wait for this passive to kick in before I start filming the clip. And that's how I'm able to regenerate energy very quickly. And let's start off with her passive called Marksman's Dexterity, where Mesa gets 10% bonus fire rate with dual-wielded sidearms, 20% bonus reload speed with one-handed sidearms, and if you unequip your melee weapon, you're gonna get 50 bonus health in PvE and 30 bonus health in Conclave. So Mesa's first ability is called Ballistic Battery, where Mesa will convert 70% of the total damage inflicted by her primary and secondary weapons into raw energy. Every time you inflict damage with your weapons, it will store 140 damage up to a total of 1600, which is affected by power strength. And activating the ability again will grant you a buff that will unleash all of this damage with your next shot. Now, the damage bonus that you get with this acts kind of like Serration, because it will just multiply the damage of your weapon. So if you're, for instance, running a weapon that does toxin damage, it will give you bonus toxin damage. However, in most cases, this damage is only applied to the weapon's projectile. So if you, for instance, have a turret, it will increase the damage of the projectile, but it will not increase the damage of the cloud. And while the Syndicate radial effects, which are the explosions that you get if you get enough affinity and you have a Syndicate mod on you, are able to contribute towards the charge counter, their damage will not be affected by Ballistic's battery deactivation. And finally, if you fall off a map or you run into a nullifier's bubble, it will simply cause you to unleash all the stored damage with your next shot. It will not remove the buff. The augment for Ballistic Battery is called Ballistic Bullseye, which will add status chance to the shot based on the amount you've charged. Now, the best way to explain this is to explain how Ballistic Battery is displayed on the heads-up display. So when you activate it, a number will appear over the Ballistic Battery icon, and this indicates how much damage you've charged via a percentage. And depending on how high this number is, that's how much status chance you're gonna get on the next shot. Mesa's second ability is called Shooting Gallery, where she releases an energy lasso that will swirl around her and give her 25% bonus weapon damage for 30 seconds. Now on top of that, the lasso will lash out at enemies within 16 meters every 1.5 seconds, and it will jam their weapons. And if an enemy has their weapon jammed, they will not do anything, so they're basically stunned. They will stand around and hit the weapon, wondering why it's not firing. And melee enemies like butchers and crewmen will be straight up stunned. And for some reason, it doesn't have any effect on flying enemies like Ospreys or Orokin drones. Now, the damage bonus is affected by power strength, the duration of the ability is of course affected by power duration, and the range at which the lasso will lash out at enemies and jam their weapons is affected by power range. And finally, if you're playing in a party and you activate Shooting Gallery, you will get the buff for the full duration. However, another ally will also get the buff, and this buff will periodically jump between all your allies. And while an ally has the temporary version of the shooting gallery buff, they will get all the benefits from it. The augment for shooting gallery is called Mesa Flash, which will cause the lasso to do a burst which will blind enemies within 8 meters for 7 seconds when it switches between players. The blind radius and blind duration are affected by power range and power duration respectively, and this causes a bit of an issue. There is no reason to build Mesa for power range, so if you don't want to run an unconventional build, this augment isn't gonna be very effective with it blinding enemies within only 8 meters. Mesa's third ability is called Shatter Shield, where she envelops herself in an energy shield that will reduce incoming damage from bullets and projectiles by 80% while reflecting the damage back to her attackers for 25 seconds. The damage reduction is affected by power strength, however the damage reduction cannot exceed 95% under any circumstances, and the duration of the buff is affected by power duration. Now, the projectiles that hit you will be redirected physically, so if an enemy is taking cover, that projectile may hit the cover and not do any damage. On top of that, Shatter Shield makes you immune to projectile-based knockdowns like the hooks from scorpions, and it may even reflect bombard rockets, and they will have their status chance intact, so if it hits an enemy, there's a pretty good chance it will knock them down. And I should probably also say that the projectiles are not reflected towards the original attacker all the time, it's just random. The augment for Shatter Shield is called Staggering Shield, where reflected bullets gain a 50% chance of staggering the enemy. And that's pretty much it. This is not affected by anything, it just has a 50% chance to stagger an enemy when you reflect a bullet at them. And Mesa's fourth and final ability is called Peacemaker, where Mesa stands her ground, holsters her current weapons, and pulls out her regulator pistols. She'll be rooted to the ground, and you will get a new targeting reticle in the middle of your screen which you use to aim the Peacemaker. When you press the left mouse button, Mesa will randomly target an enemy that's within that reticule and she will fire her regulators at him. And if you hold the button down, she will continuously fire at enemies within that reticule until you either run out of energy, or the enemies are dead, or you release the fire button. However, each gunshot will reduce the size of the targeting reticule until it's essentially the size of your crosshair, but the minimum size is affected by power range. Now, even though the targeting reticule is circular, this ability works off of field of view. So you don't really have to aim up and down, you only have to aim left and right. Now, the damage the regulators do is 50% impact, 25% puncture, and 25% slash. Their base damage is 125, and they scale with power strength and the mods you have on your secondary weapon. On top of that, each time you fire the regulators, their damage will increase and you will reach maximum damage after 40 gunshots. And firing the regulators also increases fire rate, although if you don't fire for a bit, it will go back down. Now, this ability is expensive, it has an activation cost and it drains 15 energy per second, which is affected by power efficiency and power duration. And it also deactivates some of the means of regenerating energy, so you cannot gain energy from Trinity's Energy Vampire, Team Energy Restores, and Rick Focus School Energy Siphon, but you can get energy from Limbo's Rift Plane, Rage, and Energy Orbs. However, there is a built-in anti-AFK countermeasure, so if you're in Peacemaker for more than 2 minutes, you cannot get energy from anything. One thing that's kind of weird about Peacemaker is that the regulators are completely silent, so if you fire at unalerted enemies you can actually get stealth kills with this. And as you may expect, Peacemaker cannot target the Stalker or enemies inside a nullifier bubble. And you can use Shooting Gallery to increase the damage of your regulators, and you can also deactivate Ballistic Battery, although you cannot activate it while you're in Peacemaker, to increase the damage of one shot of Peacemaker. So would I recommend Mesa? Oh yeah, I waited far too long to get Mesa, and oh boy did I miss out. This is hands down one of the coolest Warframes in the game. Her toolkit is brilliant, she looks absolutely amazing, and I mean Peacemaker, what a cool ability. It's so simple, but so cool. It's just swag all the way, and she's really good now as well, especially after the buff she received with update 18.13. So go on, get Mesa, you will not regret having this Warframe, I can guarantee that. She's just so much fun to play with, and even though she's pretty squishy, her abilities make up for it. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Oh, bollocks, I almost forgot. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brawlatron. Happy birthday to you. Now you can enjoy the awkwardness of standing around and not knowing what to do when someone sings happy birthday to you, brought to you by MC Gamer CZ.